Alright, so I think I might know how to do this. So I think that one was 4224 because it goes in intervals of 5. When it's fast, that means that it's a dot, and when it's slow, it means that it's a line. So I think I actually got pretty lucky, and I think that's just 4224. So let's give that a shot. And I actually know where to go for it too. Oh, there we go. Another crane. Oh! Someone fell down. Extreme dieting death. Young Me was a senior high school student, and she had never been happy with her body. She was excited to become a university student with only the entrance exam standing in her way, but regretted that she wouldn't get to have any campus romance with her kind of body, so she would always say that she was on a diet. Strange thing was that she didn't look overweight to others. The people around her would tease her that she should actually gain a few pounds. Still, young Me doubted their words. When she looked in the mirror at the back of the classroom, she only saw an overweight girl. Look at what a pig I am. How could they call me thin? How could they say I could gain a few pounds? The only conclusion that young Me could come to was that they were being sarcastic. Just you wait, I'll become thin. I'll not eat anything until I am thin. From the day young Me didn't eat anything and would only drink water, she became thinner by the day until it was to the point where she was just skin and bones. She barely had the energy to even move, but she continued her refusal to eat. When she was forced to eat even just a little, she would run straight to the bathroom and throw up. She had lost so much weight that watching her walk around the school was a creepy sight. Her friends and teachers, who at first had been worried, began to avoid her. Then one day a new boy transferred to her class wanted to make quick friends. He treated the whole class to pizza and burgers. With the teacher's permission, they served the food in the classroom and held a party. Everyone was able to enjoy the food while relaxing and letting go of their stress of preparing for the college entrance exams. The transfer student spotted young Me sitting by herself by the window. Even in the celebratory mood, she was not eating. The thought never occurred to him that she was on a diet. He just figured that she didn't get her share yet. So he brought her one of the remaining burgers and a soda. No, I'm not eating. I won't eat anything. I'm still fat in the mirror, can't you see? Young Me stood up and shouted with rage as she pointed at the mirror at the back of the classroom. Suddenly, the classroom went quiet. Her face was contorted with anger, and her eyes gleamed with insanity. Young Me started snickering and looked around her. All the kids' eyes were locked on her in fear. To her, it seemed like they were all staring with eyes filled with disdain. Young Me stormed out of the classroom screaming. Nobody moved to stop her. In the end, she was found dead in the mountain nearby, having starved to death. Her classmates tried to figure out what Young Me meant with her last words. What did she mean by the mirror? We don't have a mirror in our classroom. Oh, that's some spooky shit. Well, can't wait to find that ghost in our ghost hunting episode. Alright, so I believe, because we got that metronome puzzle solved and found out the code in the music room, I think it's the key to the music appreciation room lock. So let's go ahead and check it out. 2, 2. This might not actually make sense. 2. That doesn't make sense. Holy shit. Crap. Now I gotta still find out what the hell the code is. Alrighty. Oh, well, I just totally guessed. Lost Face, Yu was a popular girl. Not only was she pretty, she was musically talented as well, winning many awards since she was young. Everyone loved her. As often happens in these cases, everyone wanted to be friends with her and she became egotistical. In contrast, Misuk was hardly known by anyone in the school. She thought she was ugly. That caused her to have self-confidence issues, making her timid and introverted. Due of this, she had no friends to speak of. Even her classmates hardly acknowledged her existence. One day, Uha was walking in the hallway while noisily chatting with her friends. Misuk focused on cleaning, didn't realize anyone was there until Unha ran into her. Misuk stumbled and dropped the moat bucket. She was carrying, spilling dirty water over the hallway. Yun-Ah never said sorry. She barely spared a glance at Misuk, then walked away silently. Angered, Misuk went after her and demanded an apology. Instead, she was mocked. What are you blubbering about? You're as ugly and dirty as that mop water. Haha. The other kids snickered in agreement with Una's cruel remarks. Mi-suk's face turned red with embarrassment and anger. From that day on, she was an easy target for bullying. Every time she walked by, everyone would mock her without caring if she could hear. As time passed on, her resentment towards Una grew to hatred for Una. She decided that she would get revenge on Una for what she had started. How pretty does she think she is? Does she think that beauty lasts forever? We'll see about that. One day, Una was chatting away with her friends in the music appreciation room. Misa quietly approached them, and as usual, the kids began mocking her. No one paid any attention to the bottle she held in her hand. Misa took a cup of the sulfuric acid she brought and threw it in Ua's face. Ua's scream of pain filled up the room and echoed through the halls. The kids around her scrambled away in horror. Not one soul stayed behind to help. Ua pleaded for help as she screamed in agony, but Misuk just smiled cruelly and watched her beg. Ua's pretty face was eaten away by the acid. She was fortunate to have survived the attack, but it left her with a hideous scar covering half of her face. There was no trace of her former beauty to be found. After the incident, she would go to the school, refusing to even come out of her house. She broke all the mirrors inside, and her disfigured eyes, being sensitive to light, caused her to keep the house eternally dark. Her depression became so deep that one day it drove her to leap from the roof of the house. They said that it was hard to identify her body because she struck the ground face first, completely destroying what had remained. Since her death, there are rumors of sightings of Ua's ghost in the music appreciation room. It is said that her ghost always has her back turned, and that you'll die if you ever see her face. Well, we all know which ghost that one was. So glad I didn't have to solve that one. Oh. Boy kills girl. Ji-seob, a new transfer student to Y High School, had recently heard a horror story about the school from a classmate. So, of course, of all the nights, the night he had to come back to school to grab something he left was a stormy night. The quiet pouring of the rain reminded him too much of the scary story. Only a few years before, there was a student named Ji-hee. She was dating a boy named Myung-ho, who shared the same homeroom with her during the first 2 years of school. When they were in their senior year, they were assigned to different homerooms, and Ji-hye began dating Ho-young, who was in the same homeroom as her. Myung-ho could not accept such sudden breakup after dating Ji-hee, or Hai, for 2 years. Tried multiple times to go see her and plead his case, but Ji-hye completely ignored him. Growing more resentful with each rejection, Myung-ho began to hate Ji-hye. One day, Myung-ho decided to go see Ji-hye one last time in her homeroom during lunch break. Ji-hye, just like all the times before, was cold and cruel and ignored his pleas. Enraged, Myung-ho took out the knife he had brought with him. Of course, he wasn't planning on hurting her. He wanted to mend his wounded ego by watching her tremble, seeing her finally acknowledge him. However, Ji-hye knew him all too well. She knew that even though he acted tough, he was just a narrow-minded, scared little boy. Seeing his desperate attempt with the knife made him so repulsive that she became angry at him. She called him names and taunted that he would never have the guts to actually use the knife. Alas, her taunting worked. Myung-ho, momentarily blinded by rage, swung his knife and stabbed Ji-hye. Ji-hye fell to the ground, her blood running across the entire floor. Myung-ho, scared and confused by the scene, went berserk due to Myung-ho slashing his knife crazily around him. No one dared to go near Ji-hye. They only watched from afar as she bled out. Since that day, there is said to have been sightings of a female ghost lying down on the floor as if asleep. Ji-seob tried to block this story from his mind when he reached the classroom. When he opened the door, though, his efforts were in vain. As he tripped, falling backwards in terror, he saw a girl lying on the ground in the dark like she was fast asleep. Wow, dang. They just keep on piling up. I wonder how much more we got left. I'm going to check real quick. Alright, so apparently I got 3 left to find. 3 more ghost stories. Then I think we should be pretty much all set with that. Alright, so apparently the combination for this room is in this document. Nobody recognized me, blah blah blah. Let's see, R. I'm assuming it has something to do with the letters that are big. So let's see. First letter that's uppercase is F-O-U-R. 4 S I, X, so 6, 4, 6, 6, F, missing something. Must be an I. V, 4, 6, 5. T, H, R, E, E. 4, 6, 5, 3. 4, 6, 5, 3. There we go. And now we got the small master key. Alright. So now I can open up these drawers. Oh, something's in this one. Ghost of House Parent. At the time of its establishment, Y High School was in the middle of nowhere at the base of the mountain with hardly any human traffic. Due to the reason, Y High School had dormitories for the students. In the female dorm, there was a notorious Housemother Missy, whom everyone was afraid of. Coming from a good family background, she demanded that the students behaved and followed rules at all times. She would give harsh punishments for any violation of the rules, and this caused many students to complain about her. It was a little after the midterm when a junior fell out of a third-floor window and died. She was trying to sneak out of the dorms while evading the house mother's watch to go out and celebrate the end of the midterms. But for some reason, the rumor spread that the girl committed suicide because of Miss C, or even worse, that Miss C had killed that girl herself. Miss C was in a great shock, and for a while she stayed silent as if her spirit was broken. Students were happy about the change and secretly kept an eye on Miss C, see if she would return to her old self. Then came the incident that riled up all the students. Miss C was doing her rounds and found a student whose hair was longer than regulation. Miss C took the student to the bathroom and cut that girl's hair. But when that happened, the student and all of her friends surrounded Miss C and protested against her harsh punishment and strict rules. At first, it was only a few students who spoke up. Then, one by one, they were joined by other angry voices opposing Miss C. Soon enough, every student in the female dorm started protesting against her. Anywhere Miss C looked, an angry glare met her gaze. Finally, Miss C broke under all the pressure and her own pent-up emotions, and she ran out of the dorm screaming like a madwoman. None of the students cared. No one went after her, trying to calm her down. In the end, Miss C's body was found on a nearby mountain a few days after she went missing. Since then, people started reporting that they've seen the ghost of Miss C. The rumor spread quickly, and the girls in the dormitory suffered from insomnia and fear. Eventually, the dorm had to be shut down. Even so, there are still periodic reports of sightings of Miss C's ghosts. I don't know who that one would be. I don't think we've seen her yet. The mystery in the biology lab. There were many strange rumors surrounding the biology lab, most of them featuring a walking mannequin or a scraping noise across the floor. Also, most of these rumors are based off the history of the school building. The history of the school building goes all the way back to the occupation era. The building was used as a concentration camp for political prisoners. Some parts of the concentration camp were used by the occupying military to conduct horrendous experiments on human subjects. Every single experiment that was conducted there was evil and inhumane. The screams of the subject filled the air around the clock. Students believed that the location of the biology lab used to be one of those human experimentation labs. So every time there was an accident in the biology lab, the students always brought up the idea that it had something to do with the curse of the human experiment victims who were killed there, or that the head researcher remained in the form of a ghost. Some even went on to say that the anatomy mannequin in the corner of the room was actually a corpse of one of the experiment subjects. However, the most famous rumor of them all was the imprisonment accident. Dee didn't get very good grades, but he was especially interested in science, and he worked hard in his studies. The science teacher took pity on him and recommended Dee to be the school's representative for a science contest. Dee saw it as a great opportunity for him and studied even harder with the teacher's permission. He stayed behind every day after school, ended to study more and prepare himself for the contest. The area which he spent the greatest amount of effort on was the human anatomy composition. He studied the anatomy mannequin on a daily basis. A few days before the science contest, Dee, who was studying alone in the biology lab, was so exhausted that he fell asleep. When he woke up, it was dark and the lights had been turned off. He tried to turn the light back on, but it didn't work. Even the door seemed to be locked from the outside. He had no choice but stay in the dark biology lab and spend the night there. He usually never bothered to think about the rumors, but his current situation triggered his memory to replay all the scary stories he had heard. The more he tried to not think about them, the stronger they came to his mind. Dee was becoming more afraid with each passing second. He was especially afraid of the anatomy mannequin in the dark. His heartbeat raced, and it was becoming hard for him to breathe. Dee was so scared that he decided to light an alcohol lamp. Just as the flame brought its flickering light to the room, the anatomy mannequin suddenly came to life and slowly started to move towards Dee. The next morning, Dee was found dead in the biology lab. The cause of death was reported as heart attack. What was failed to be explained was that his nails were ripped from their beds, and on the biology lab's door there were scratch marks with trails of blood and a word scrawled in blood that read anatomy mannequin. I freaking knew it. I freaking knew that mannequin was alive. Oh, we called that shit. Oh my god. We're gonna fucking fuck that guy's day up, though. Well, we gotta go fuck solve. So does that mean they'll actually, like, attack us? Oh, man. That one I'm definitely looking up to, because I've been waiting for that freaking mannequin to do something. Alright, I think actually we just got one more ghost story to find, and then I think I'll be wrapping this episode pretty much up. Pretty sure. Yep. Alright, so see you when I find that last article. Alrighty. So in order to do that one, it's actually, those same pictures are set up in the main office, and you actually just have to look in the main office to what the pictures were and set it like that. Alright, so this is the last one. The missing children. Jung Jae was heading home really late after a school club activity. He belonged to the Mystery Research Club. They collected and studied all kinds of rumors, myths, and urban legends. The collection was not only from their own school, but from every city around. Lately, he was working on sorting through contents for their sporadically published club magazine. At a busy time like this, the club's president was nowhere to be seen. Due to his absence, Jung Jae, as vice president, had to do everything himself. That was the reason why he was heading home so late. Still preoccupied with his work, he was thinking about the magazine even while he was crossing the bridge. Just then, somebody spoke to him. "Hello, dearie. I'd like to ask you something." It was kind and warm-looking grandma who approached. Her chignon hairstyle and her bent back reminded Jung Jae of his own grandma out in the countryside. Right before he was going to answer her, he suddenly paused and wondered, why was this old lady at school at this late hour? In that moment, he recalled a ghost story that he had investigated a while back. The building of Y High School was erected on the occupation area and was used as a refugee camp during the Korean War. In the refugee camp, there were lots of orphans who had lost their parents in the midst of the war. Since the situation was so grim, no one really had the luxury of worrying about these kids. Then some grandma took these orphans under her wing and took care of them. The kids depended on her and got along with her well. The people didn't suspect anything of this grandma. Then one day the grandma and the orphans suddenly disappeared. The refugees thought it was strange, but as they had previously agreed, they kept silent about it. It was a time where such things happened. A short while after that, a woman came to the camp. She was the mother of one of the orphans. The woman went through so much to find the whereabouts of her child and was finally here to reunite with them. When she heard of the disappearance of her child, she wailed with despair. The refugees, who felt a little guilty about not having done anything about the disappearance of the orphans, were finally moved to the action by the woman's heart-wrenching cries. Led by a former hunter, a few refugees decided to help the woman in search for the missing orphans. They followed the trail of the children up into the mountains. When they got halfway up, they found an old rundown hut. They were greeted with the rotting stench of corpses inside the hut and found the hut was full of small white bones, which seemed relatively fresh. It was said that they never found the old grandma. Jung Jae couldn't figure out why he had suddenly remembered that ghost story. Feeling spooked, he kept his mouth shut. Maybe it was the old traditional dress that the grandma was wearing. The old grandma, who was pressing on Jung Jae with her questions, slowly revealed herself, and her face twisted and turned into the face of the demons. From her dark and empty eye sockets, red light gleamed. She mumbled as she smacked her lips. So close. What a pity. The next thing he knew, he was waking up at his desk. He must have fallen asleep while sorting out the material. Still, it seemed all too real to be just dream. On the paper in front of him, there was a warning from the material he was reading right before he fell asleep. Never answer her questions. Ah, man. Never answer her questions. Oh, that's weird. I wonder which ghost this is representing. Alright, guys. So that was actually all the ghost stories that I had missed in my original playthrough. So that's part's done. And guess what? that was a lot of reading. I know that was probably kind of boring and dull to like sit through some of that. It was cool finding out what some of those items were for, but you know, it could kind of drag on a bit. But luckily in the next video, we're going to be seeing some more action, because next video, I'm going to be hunting me some ghosts. I'm going to be going by and I'm going to try to find every single ghost that we have a document about, which actually I'm pretty sure we literally have like, I think it's 11 ghosts that we never encountered. So there's like 11 different ghosts that we never encountered, because out of 20 we only encountered like 8 or 9. So it's somewhere around there. So we got a lot of ghosts to be hunting, and we're going to be doing that on the next episode that I post of White Day at Labyrinth Name School. So if you're really interested in that, then make sure you check that out, because I'm both excited and nervous about this video. So as always, thank you for commenting, leaving your suggestions at the bottom. I always appreciate you guys' feedback. Have a great one. Can't wait to have you with me so we can hunt some ghosts in the next episode. Have a good one. Goodbye!